Hopefully, it all comes out and people can legally talk about it at some point. But
can you talk about it without?
I know there's been multiple contact events, like straight up, straight up contact events. One of them is revealed in the film, actually, but there are more. There was this. Several of the people in my film talk about an event that happened at Hallerman Air Force Base where 2 non-human crafts approached the base. One landed. Beings walked out and interacted with Air Force officials and CIA officials. And a couple people go on the record talking about that in the film. But there have been other events, I've been told.
How are those beings described?
They were described as tall, slender, humanoid. And the another thing that I heard that gave me chills was that someone involved with a recovery interacted with a non-human being that was dying and heard thoughts in his head that said, you humans don't know your full potential. And that was said to me by a very senior, older guy from the intelligence community. And I thought that was pretty incredible. Also, just the extent to which the legacy program is real. This isn't like 50 guys sitting in a quiet, dark room. You're talking about a massive program with thousands of people going to work every day and dealing with this. And to me, that is mind-blowing, Yeah. The guy next to you at the pizza place, on a Saturday night might be working on this during the day,
Right.
The guy who, the other father at your kid's Little League game.
Yeah.
This is what he deals with, right? The fact that is a thing, and, we had a similar dynamic for the Manhattan Project. There were all these people working on it, and they kept it secret, right? And their neighbors and friends didn't know. But this is that on steroids. So, after the Manhattan Project, which was had a budget in the billions, this situation arose, and it had to be even more secret than the Manhattan Project, because the Manhattan Project, we found out in hindsight, leaked, right? There were moles.
Right.
So we needed to make this even more secret and give it more money and more resources and more, counter intel.
And more threats.
Which is counter intel, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, threats if you reveal those secrets. But it's like the more this stuff gets discussed, the more I go back to what Lazar said. Because what Lazar is describing from the 1980s is exactly what these people are saying now. They've had these things. They've been trying to figure them out. They've been working on them. At least in the 1980s, they hadn't totally cracked it yet. But they did know how to operate them, and that they would do these tests. But everything was so compartmentalized. He said he wasn't allowed to talk to the metallurgist. There was different people that were assigned to it.
Yeah.
What they were assigned to do was to try to figure out how the propulsion system worked.
Yeah.
And then there was other people that were assigned to try to figure out how the metallurgy was formed. Because whatever it was seemed like it was 3D printed. It didn't have any seams.
Yeah.
And when he talks about it, it sounds exactly like what people are talking about today, which is really bananas.
Yeah.
Because this is late 1980s, and he's the first guy to crack through with this stuff.
Yeah. Everything is so, in that secret program, everything is so siloed out where you could have one team of defense contractors working on one thing. They're not even told it's from an alien spacecraft. They're just told, here's the thing. It might be Russia. It might be China. Tell us how it works.
Right.
They're just kept in a little bubble. And one of the issues now is that everything's become so overclassified and so siloed that it's actually hurting progress. And that's a lot of the scientists in my film are voicing that. And one of the other things I learned recently that isn't in the film, Jay Stratton, who ran the UAP task force, he told me that during that time, he had started a talk with one of the senior scientists at Lockheed, who was frustrated by how overclassified everything was. It even made it hard for the defense contractors to get the right manpower and brains on it, because not everyone can be cleared to do the work, right? There's all these red tape hurdles to progress, right? And so they had made a plan to move one of the crafts that had been recovered that was in Lockheed's possession into the possession of the UAP task force. And then the task force was going to be able to put more brain power towards it. And then the head of science and technology at the CIA shut it down in the middle of the transfer. They had actually secured a hangar on a military base and prepped it to be a classified hangar that would hold this craft, and they were stopped. So the issue of
then
overclassification.
Did they know what happened after that?
Yeah, the CIA just shut the whole transaction down, and the craft stayed in Lockheed's possession. And then that particular leader within Lockheed died about 2 years later. So the effort kind of stopped. He had cancer. The overclassification is definitely a hurdle for this. And our competitors don't necessarily have that. Like there's no free will in China. She can just be like, hey, you're the smartest guy graduating your class. You're going to go work for the nation on this,
Right, period.
And here, the problem is no one knows it's real. One of the things I hope the film changes is it makes the scientific community know that this is a valid area of inquiry. This is real. It's a real situation. And there's a ton of problems for the next generation of engineers and scientists to solve, And so hopefully it inspires them and helps us make progress, because there's a lot of progress that could be made here.
Well, it certainly seems like it, but it's like one of the things that you guys propose in the film that I think may be the only way forward is some sort of a mass amnesty to all these people that did lie to Congress and probably misappropriated funds and maybe stole a little bit here and there. Like if that doesn't happen, no one is going to push to make this public. No one's going to push for like actual full disclosure, because it leaves them too exposed. And if they do have the kind of power that they must have to be running an organization of thousands of people working on something with unbelievable amounts of money being transferred to these programs, they don't want to let that go.
Yeah.
Like this is like, it's a honeypot that they're drawing from, right? And they're probably still taking too much, or there's no oversight. You're still lying to Congress. And you'd have to have some national security amnesty program saying, look, in the interest of national security, it's critically important that we get all of our best people working on this. The only way we're ever going to really do that is to completely reveal that this is actually really happening. This is real crafts from somewhere or something. We have them. We'll tell you where we have them. And I think right now, people wouldn't even freak out, because I would think that people would freak out if there was some sort of official narrative of disclosure. But that's sort of been breached, right? The New York Times breached that in 2017.
I think this film is that. I mean, this is 34 credible people putting their reputation and name on the line, which I honestly, Joe, I think it's stronger evidence than any video or photo. These days, you could put a 4K video of a giant craft over Vandenberg, and half the human population will say it's AI,
right,
or created some visual effects program. But someone of note putting their name and reputation on the line, their career on the line, the rest of their lives on the line, to say this is what I know to be true. To me, that's the greatest evidence that exists. But I do think, to your point, amnesty is something that's gonna have to be figured out, because while it's hard for anyone to accept letting people off the hook for wrongdoings, right? It does seem like it's in the best interest of the bigger picture.
100%.
Because these people just they have no incentive to come forward with what they've learned. And so, to quote Rubio in the film, he says, look, this is not a endeavor to go and punish anyone, but we need to know what they learned.
Right.
And I think he's totally dead on. And,
is he in favor of some sort of an amnesty program as well?
Yeah, he says on camera in the film, he's like, I'm not trying to punish anyone. I need to know what they learned, because taxpayers paid for this, and it's in our interest to know what's going on. But the other thing that's needed is real whistleblower protection, not the whistleblower protection that's been passed so far. Like much stronger legal protection, so that people like the folks I talked to, the special forces guys I talked to, were going to come forward and then decided they thought to be forfeiting their lives. You've got to change that set of circumstances. You got to make those people feel like that's not going to happen to them.
Right.
And what I think ultimately is going to have to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised, man, if it happens soon after the film comes out, I think a sitting president has to step to the microphone and say, definitively, humanity's not alone in the universe. We have recovered technology of non-human origin. So have other nations. There is a high-stakes secret Cold War race to reverse engineer this technology. We need to win this race, and the U.S. intends to lead in this new chapter. I think that needs to happen, like a level set of basic facts, and I really do think it will happen.
Well, if that is going to happen, I think Trump might be the only guy that's willing to do something crazy.
I think it's very likely that he does that. I know that he is aware of the film. I know he's aware of what people in his administration say.
Has he watched it? You know that?
He has not watched the film, but I know he's very aware of it, and I know that they are discussing internally how they're going to react to the film publicly. And I also know that he has recently, very recently, tasked Tulsi Gabbard with getting to the bottom of the situation and finding out for him what he needs to know that he doesn't know.
Really?
Yeah. And as Rubio said in the film, Rubio says on camera, on the record, on the film, that this has been kept from sitting presidents. And he goes into detail on how that's been done and how it's the career bureaucrats in certain elements of the government that control this information and just wait presidents out and don't feel like they have a need to know.
Right. Well, there were some people that tried to find information out in the beginning of the Trump administration. Who was it? There was someone that talked about it on record and said he was told at every turn that you don't have the clearance.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. Trump actually found out about the base facts in his last presidency and was contemplating stepping to the microphone then.
What base facts?
So Jay Stratton, who ran the task force, he says on camera in my film that he briefed that Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, asked for a briefing on the lay of the land because Trump asked him to get the briefing, and Trump had already known that the base facts that we're not alone in the universe, that there's been recovery of crashed craft, right? He knew those base facts, and he told Mnuchin that he was thinking about going public. And so Mnuchin reached out to Stratton to get a briefing, and he told Stratton that the reason he wanted the briefing is because he needed to be able to evaluate what the impact would be to the economy if the president decided to step to the mic and tell the world we're not alone. And Stratton tells the story on camera in the film, and I've heard a lot more about it off camera. So we know Trump contemplated doing this already. Now I think the release of this film and Rubio's involvement puts enough on the table that it makes it easier for him to do.
I think they would have to have some sort of a plan in place if they were going to say that, right? Like the amnesty plan, the idea behind it would have to be in place. If someone's
or at least grab control of the situation and say that this is real and the U.S. intends to lead the way. Because the other factor that the White House has to keep in mind is you don't want Xi or Putin being the guy to do that.
Right.
You don't want them to have that moment, right?
Right.
Something I always think about with regards to that moment of a president stepping to the mic. When we entered the space race, Kennedy gave that big famous speech, right? He was like, "We're going to lead in space technology, space technology, like nuclear technology, has no conscience of its own. It's up to man to use it for good or bad, and we're going to make sure it's used for the betterment of all mankind, and we're going to lead the way." That was his whole rallying speech, right? And it made the whole scientific community be like, "We're going to help the U.S. win," rah rah rah, right? I think that's needed in this race. We need all the support of the scientific community, of academia, the kids coming out of MIT. We need them putting their brain power towards this, and I think the White House knows that. And it's also the greatest. That's the greatest TV moment a leader could have in the history of humanity. Step into the microphone.
Do you think Elon knows?
Look, I've seen him obviously talk to you about it. I think he knows a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think you get the contracts and the clearances you need to operate in space without some horse trading.
Yeah, when I went to SpaceX, I'm like, motherfucker, you know everything. There's no way you're launching these fucking things into space without them keying you in on exactly what's going on. He's just sly about it.
Well,
He goes, well, if they are aliens, they're certainly all subtle. That's what he says. Are they really? I don't know, man.
I think it's impossible to operate in space like he does and not be aware of everything. And also at the level he operates clearance-wise. I held a secret screening at the National Space Symposium earlier this year, which is the Super Bowl of the space industry. It's like 60 people, heavy hitters from the space industry. We didn't promote it or publicize it at all, but there were a dozen guys from SpaceX there, and they all seem very aware of everything revealed in the film.
Yeah, I'm positive.
Yeah,
he's my friend, and he won't tell me.
He's a legend.
He keeps a lid on it.
He's a legend.
But how would he not know if it is? And some people have told me he knows that he knows some things. So whatever. But the point is, people are good at keeping secrets. That's real.
100%.
Even people that aren't notoriously good at keeping secrets are good at keeping secrets when they have to be.
Do you think if you put yourself, you've interviewed Trump, do you see him doing that? Stepping to the mic and telling us the truth?
Someone talks to him about it and convinces him it's a great idea. Like if I had an hour with him.
I mean, it's literally the single, in my opinion, the single greatest moment a leader could have.
Well,
in the history of the world.
If he could be the guy that blows the lid off of it, that would definitely help with his legacy too, which I think would be a good way to convince him. How many years would have to go by before people were doing commercial space flight before you decided to just take a shot, see what's up?
I think it could happen tomorrow.
If somebody like comes to you with a solid concept, we're going to put you in space, bring you right back down to Earth.
I don't think space is as big a deal right now. I think that it's a big business. And the fact that all the richest people in the world are in it, prove it. You know, that'd be like saying, oh my gosh, you can't ship this package. It's going to be $5,000 on FedEx. Nah. The fact that the richest guys in the world are in it means it's very cheap and you can get the hell out of here. And
is that what it means? I think it means there's a lot of like benefit in being one of the people that innovates in space travel. If you could come up with a thing where you send people into space, and every time you do it, you could charge someone $100,000, and you get like a million people a year to give up $100,000 and go flying into space. That's a lot of fucking money.
It's only $100 million.
A million people? Yeah, that's right.
Still, yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about your past or anything.
No, it's not 100. It's 100,000. Yeah, it's not 100 million. That's 100 billion.
Well, that's when you start moving commas and not zeros.
Well, that's when you do math.
Yes.
See, so, like, if you're Jeff Bezos and you can make 100 billion doing that, I mean, you wouldn't make 100 billion. What if you make 50 every year, just putting people into space? That seems very valuable.
It's going to become a commodity very quickly.
Yeah, putting people in space.
But space is just a high-flying airplane.
Right. But if people are willing to spend a lot of money doing it, and then if you can figure out a way to escape Earth's gravity and land on on Mars, or land on, Europa, on one of the moons.
Yeah.
What if you could figure out a way to fucking fly around Venus and come back home?
What the fuck is the point?
The point is the experience. Just like the point of going to Everest. Like, is the point being at the highest spot? Like, who gives a fuck if you went to the highest spot? Nobody gives a shit. But the point is the experience of going there and knowing that it's a difficult thing to do, and that it gives you an unusual vision, an unusual perspective, an experience that few people rarely see. Ad blocker, you motherfucker. Got to disable ad blocker, son. It gives you an option.
That's bullshit.
Tickets to Mars will eventually cost less than $500,000, Elon Musk says. Well, thank you, Elon. What a bargain. Only $500,000?
I could fly all the way around the fucking Earth and stop 72 times for $500,000.
But if they really do get to that point, and they probably will. Look, if you go back to the invention of the first automobile in like the 1800s, and then you look at what they can do today with like Jamie has a Tesla Model X. Shut the fuck up, bro. They're great. They go 0 to 60 so fast it doesn't seem right. And it's a SUV. They're so fast. Have you driven one?
Ludicrous mode?
Yeah.
I have, yeah. Ludicrous Plus, actually.
Have you driven one like that?
Yeah.
They're preposterous. They're so fast.
It's insane.
So you go from that old car that was like, fucking 20 horsepower to what he's got. It's insane. Now go 1,000 years from now. There's no way you can guess. And if you look at what we can do right now, if commercial space flight is a real thing and they're flying people into orbit, there is no doubt in my mind that whatever the amount of time it is, whether it's 50 years or 100 years from now, they're going to absolutely have space flight to Mars and bring people home. They'll probably come up with some new propulsion system, some fucking wild, crazy shit that we haven't even thought of before, and it'll change everything.
It's not going to happen with this giant go straight up. it's going to have to be something that circumnavigates and gains speed.
Alien technology.
Nah, I don't know about alien technology, but it's going to have to be something that circumnavigates and gains speed.
As long as you say circumnavigates, I think you know what you're talking about. Imagine being like at NASA. What you guys need to do is fucking circumnavigate.
Exactly.
Get it around. It's not gonna go straight up, boys. Never go straight up. The Earth spins. You got to go with the spin of the Earth.
Never go straight. Go
It
forward.
doesn't go straight. It looks like it's going straight, but it goes straight in relationship to where you're standing, but not in relationship to the way the Earth's spinning and the way the fucking planets are
Correct.
aligned.
Why
It's
would
all
it pop up
complicated.
again?
Another fucking ad pop up.
Jesus,
Son of a
dude.
bitch.
That just doesn't even work anymore.
I thought you were supposed to be really good at this.
He's the best. That's not the problem.
There you go.
The problem is pop-up ads. NASA is launching a 4G mobile network on the moon. Yeah, well, when I have 6G, I'm not going to settle for 4G on the moon, you fucks. That's like getting like 1X in the Amazon.
Who the fuck's getting it on the moon?
Assholes.
How many customers are on the moon?
Jeff
right
Bezos
now?
is going to be with that girl that you don't even like on the moon.
I just wasn't impressed.
Drinking
with her.
martinis.
I mean, if I was worth hundreds of billions of
Listen.
dollars, I think I could do better.
I got to pee too. So we can either wrap this up or I can pee and we keep going.
Well, I don't care.
I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, you gonna fucking dare me?
What, you got your notes?
Oh, I'm just picking up my.
Have you thought about what I said about space travel?
Yes, and I'm not disagreeing. What I'm telling you is, as a race, we take over shit.
We
Go
try.
and, we go and grab shit. We take over it. We fight about it. We say this is our land. This is your land.
Right.
If we'd have been in the moon, we'd be up there.
The argument is that every single technological achievement from 1969 is easier, cheaper, and faster to reproduce today, except going to the moon. That's the argument.
I say wrong because I was born in '69. That was fucking cheap.
What do you mean? No, the argument is that everything from then you could do cheaper today and easier, like televisions.
Yeah, but
Do
they say you
when
can't.
Well, they didn't work at it. That's the problem. It's the only thing they didn't work at. The only other things they didn't work at is like, I mean, how much innovation have there been in air flight, in like commercial air travel? Not much.
Propellers. I mean, it's been 100
No,
years, right?
69 they were already flying jets. When did they start flying jets?
Yeah. We were
Oh, I
alright
guess,
flying.
yeah. Well, then the Concorde, they stopped sort of, I guess, with
The
the Concorde.
Concorde,
And then they're like,
yeah.
oh.
That, that thing
Or they're
killed a
not
lot of
telling
rich
us,
people.
Or they're not telling us how far they made it in space.
Well, the
or,
Concorde
flight.
killed people that they can't kill. Like that was what was that getting you to France in like 2 hours or something? Something crazy.
And couldn't it have gone faster? They just kept it there, or no?
I don't know. I think the thing that happened to them was on the runway. I think it lost a wheel or something on the runway and killed a bunch of rich people, or ran into a tire, something like
It
that.
says low passenger numbers and rising maintenance costs. I mean, it was kind of expensive, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Sure. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose. I mean, it's
Bless
going
you.
supersonic speeds. You know. I mean, how the fuck does it not break?
It wasn't that bad.
What wasn't that bad?
The price, I thought, for some reason in my head, I thought it was like
A ticket?
thousands and thousands of dollars.
How much was the ticket?
It says the fare was about $500 or just over $1,000. What today?
In
would have
what
been.
year? When did they stop?
1990.
99. That's
Or
kind
when
of
it
crazy.
stopped.
That was the Concorde.
Sorry, stopped in 2000.
That's kind of crazy if you think about progression. Like in 2000, you could fly at supersonic speeds commercially. You can't do that now. So that kind of throws a monkey wrench into the idea that things always get better. Because they don't always. When they cost too much money, they don't always get better.
I don't think it cost too much money. They were complaining about the sound and the sonic boom.
Oh, yeah, that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there was also the danger of it. It's like the last flight, I think a bunch of people died that were very wealthy.
Is that true? What?
Only 13? 113. Oh, yeah. That's a little more than 13.
That's fucking serious.
Yeah. And a lot of them were very wealthy. And I think when you get hit with those lawsuits, like... So that's one of those things that from 2000 to 2020 did not get better. It actually stopped. You know, it's a lot of money to get people on the fucking moon. it's just one of those things where I think eventually they'll get to space tourism and it'll expand past the moon. It'll go to Mars, and it's going to happen. But it might happen 100 years from now. You know, it might happen 200 years from now. We might be shocked at how long it takes.
Well, then you're pleading my case right there.
Why am I pleading your case?
Because we haven't been there.
Might have did it once.
Yeah.
Might have did it once with a bunch of fucking cowboys.
Okay, you went to high school or even elementary school in the 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you studied history.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a picture of the flag on the moon?
Of course I have.
No, through a telescope.
Oh, me? Do you know they don't have telescopes that can actually see that clearly?
Yes,
on the
they
moon?
can.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know how
Have you
telescopes
seen
work?
Yes.
They don't work that way. They don't like there's a like a long distance thing, and then there's a close distance thing. Like you could use magnifying things like binoculars and telescopes that are like low magnification, and you can get like a good image of something that's not too far away. But then when they started getting too far away, yes, the flag is still on the moon, but you can't see
it using a telescope.
The Hubble is not pointed at the flag. Here it goes. The Hubble Space Telescope is only 2.4 meters in diameter, much too small. Resolving the larger lunar rover, which has a length of 3.1 meters, would still require a telescope 75 meters in diameter.
So we're the most badass country in the fucking world, and we put a man on the moon, and he planted a fucking flag.
Mm-hmm.
And we ain't showing that off.
Right, but
I mean, because we're, as a country, we're like Burt Reynolds. What are you going to do? We're going to show off. That's what we do.
But did you read what that thing just said? I get your like country wisdom, where you're looking at it and you're like, if we had this, we would have that. But if you look at that thing, it's saying that the Hubble only has a thing that's 2.4 meters, and you need something much larger. Was it 75? 75 meters, which is like almost a football field size, to be able to see what's on the moon. Like, they didn't have the Hubble before, right? They didn't have the ability to take these high-definition images of things that were, like, way far away. Now they do. But to have something that gets really close to things, you need something that's even more potent. It's all for people not like you or me. We're arguing about shit that we don't study. That's what
I'm
the
not
problem
even,
is.
I don't even care about it, to tell you the truth. I'm just telling you.
Well, you brought it up on a podcast. Millions of people are listening.
I'm totally screwed now. Whatever I said.
The gas
to the
monkey
moon
barn
people.
real guy that you're in a fucking argument with, he's going to bring that to court.
Fuck
I
that
told
fucker.
you, this guy's crazy.
Fuck
He
that
thinks
guy.
Neil Armstrong's a liar.
So, what's next, sir?
Aliens.
I don't care about
You
aliens.
think they're paying attention?
Personally, I don't.
If you were an alien, wouldn't you be fascinated by hot rod culture?
Well,
I would.
I met an old guy a long time ago, and he put it to me the right way. He goes, "What if you're just a experiment in a young kid's school project?
Mm-hmm.
What if all this that you built is basically an ant farm that you have in your head, and you're just an ant farm in somebody else's head and somebody else's head? It's kind of like the Matrix. I don't know if that defends us or defines us, but it is kind of interesting. I mean, you can't think that you're the only thing out there, or we're the only thing out here.
If we are an ant farm and we don't know that we're an ant farm and we're living and we understand how the ant farm works, the real problem is if the owner of the ant farm shows up. Up until then, we're just living. You know, if this really is like some complex ant farm for people, we're having fun. It's all good.
Yeah.
problem-
we got some weed, we got some drinks, we're having fun, we're making money,
Talking
not
about
making money.
cars,
There you
talking
go.
shit. Everything's fine. The real problem is if the ant farm owner shows up. That's the problem with these fucking UFOs that keep showing up. The ones that the New York Times puts on the front page of their newspaper. And
Is that a real newspaper?
yeah, it's a real paper. They do it in New York State. It's a city called Manhattan.
Well, no, I've been there. I know about it. I just don't know about New York Times being a paper.
Well, they're more often a paper than they are not. Sometimes they fuck things up, but they're more often accurate than not. Yeah, they were more accurate in the past than they are now. Now they are ideologically driven, and they tend to be a bit woke, but they're still probably the best newspaper on earth.
Did you
Not
say
probably.
woke?
Yes,
Woke?
woke. You know, woke. There's rules. You know, the woke rules. You don't give a fuck about those, right?
I do not.
Me neither. But do you think that aliens have visited?
I'm going to give it a 50-50. I'm going to probably lean towards yes.
Is this anything you think about on a regular basis?
Only when I'm jacking off.
Windows is this round thing that looks like a Tic Tac. If there is some sort of advanced propulsion system, some revolutionary way of moving through space and time that the U.S. government has developed, you know, in some black ops program, that seems very likely impossible. That seems more likely than aliens visiting us. But there's more than one incident, and there's a lot of these things. And the possibility of alien life in the universe, although we've never experienced it, seems rational. It seems very rational. And if you were going to study an emerging civilization that is both primitive and warlike and yet insanely technologically advanced to the point where they have nuclear weapons, they can transmit video through the sky, they have propaganda, they have tracking of their citizens, like that's us. That's us right now. And while we are these territorial primal beings with fucking nuclear weapons, this would be a good time to start exposing yourself.
Yes.
And to stop this nonsense.
Insanity.
Yeah. And look, the reason why we named the rooms at our club Fat Man and Little Boy is because in UFO lore, that's when they started showing up. After the detonation of the atomic bombs in Japan, that's when the UFO sightings ramped up.
And they ramped up mostly in the U.S., right?
Yes.
So that's interesting because the U.S. was the nuclear power. So
and we were the one who was doing a lot of fucking testing.
Yeah.
You know, and also we have all these military bases. Who the fuck has more military bases than us?
No one.
Who has more nuclear weapons pointed at other people than us? We have them all over the place. And there's all these multiple sightings and eyewitness accounts of like very credible people who say these things have hovered over military bases.
It'd be pretty cool if these aliens were benevolent overlords. And they were like, hey, my children.
Yeah.
You know?
Or maybe even so advanced intellectually that the concept of an overlord is preposterous. And they're just biological management. There's just the gardeners tending to make sure the weeds don't get out of hand and just like let this process continue to play itself out. Because this process of technological innovation it's the everything that humans do.
Yeah.
It's what we do at the pinnacle of our creation is we make better technology.
Well, I always wonder about fractals and whether or not, like, this idea of this being a simulation, this being, you know, like we are kind of replicating, we are creating machines and doing our best to create them in our own image, right?
Yes.
And that's interesting. You know, that's because the mythologies that we subscribe to are the idea that this God that we pray to made us in his image. Right. And we're doing the same thing now with robots and computers. And that's an interesting thing that we seem to have this sort of paradigm, this idea that that's the scaffolding for the way we think, right? And to what end? And why are we doing that?
Maybe it's the creation
has it
of
already
a new
happened?
life form.
But has it already happened? Are we the result of that impulse that happened a long time ago?
I think we are the shit-throwing chimps that are going to become the nuclear physicists.
That's what
we are the shit-throwing chimps from 2001 that become Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think this thing that we become is integrated with technology. It's probably some sort of a hybrid. It's some sort of a cyborg.
That's wild.
Because I think we're already like on the verge of merging. You know, all this talk of like Neuralink and all these various things. We watched this video the other day of this guy who was Googling questions and getting answers in his head with his headpiece on. Have you seen that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Incredible. Right? So how long before that is like that's Pong
I know, but that's
and then you have the Unreal 4 engine in 2023 that looks like a movie.
No.
Like, how long before that technology gets to the point where it's just supremely advanced, and we literally are like gods?
But my question really is also the idea that that's engineering, right? That's a tool.
It's innovation.
But there's engineering. So there are two aspects to it. One is getting information faster and stuff, which doesn't get you closer to truth, but it gets you information faster. There are endless facts. But more importantly, I always wonder, like, why we are given this. I really believe that human potential is pretty much infinite. Whatever you can imagine and beyond, we can do. And we are doing. We seem to be doing this. Like, think about how crazy that is. I can wear a headset and I can do things with my mind and look up the answer.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's magic. It's crazier than magic. But there's a way to measure that and quantify that and replicate that. So it's not magic. I can do it and I can tell you exactly how I get there, which is even crazier. So what is that leading us to? It is nudging us closer. It's like I think it's very significant that we're getting a better understanding of what it's like to be someone else.
Yeah.
We are. It's really hard to say that a Yanomamo Indian or whoever it might be thinks about things differently than I do, when I know so much about how all these human beings, like someone in Iran, someone in Jordan, laughs and cries and bleeds at the same thing I do. It's being prejudiced based on what that person looks like over there is becoming harder and harder to justify. Where it was before we knew about that, we were like, well, those people over there are quote unquote savages, or they're this, that, and the other thing. And I do think that we are getting a better understanding of what it's like to be each other and being nudged in the same direction. I'm not saying we don't become tribal.
I think that's true too.
But why? And it's interesting to think about where that's leading us to what understanding, and then when we have that understanding, what are we going to do about that?
Right, and are we going to pull it together? And are the aliens here to make sure that we don't fuck it up?
Yeah.
That's the beautiful idea. The terrible idea is that it's all us, and then it's all a big ruse, and it's all just drones that we're doing because we don't want China and Russia to know about it. But we have insane propulsion systems that operate on gravity, and
I think it is us. I hate to tell you.
It seems like both. It seems like us, and it also seems like there's some shit that we just don't understand. And I don't know if those people are telling the truth. Because if the people that are telling the truth that there's biological entities, and this is what Jackie Gleason said that Nixon told him, and Nixon took him on they were drinking. You know that famous story?
No.
Who knows if it's true? It's a legend. But the legend is that Jackie Gleason and Nixon were drinking, and that Nixon said, you want to see some fucking aliens? And they get on Air Force One, and they fly to some Air Force base, and they go to a place where they have a crashed UFO, and they have biological beings that are in freezers. And Jackie Gleason sees this. And Jackie Gleason, after that, has a house built in upstate New York that looks like a UFO. He became obsessed with UFOs after that. There was a house, it was actually for sale at one point in time. Yeah, so he has this house that he had shaped like a UFO. And this is like, who knows if this is a true story?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it was kind of sort of disputed. His ex-wife told the story or something like that. I forget.
I think that kind of thing is actually impossible to keep secret.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
You think generational,
Yeah.
generations of government bureaucrats can keep something a secret?
Sure,
I don't
they
think
tell the people at the very highest level know about it. It's very few people. It's all very compartmentalized.
they're always-
they monitor everyone's phone calls, everyone's emails, everything everyone does.
Impossible.
At a top secret clearance level,
No way.
I don't
Impossible.
think you're right.
Totally
You're
impossible.
definitely not right.
I think it's impossible.
Listen, man, they can keep secrets.
When?
People
Which
at high
ones?
levels of military can keep secrets.
Yeah, but they're
People
always
that-
rotating out. They're retiring. They're dying.
Yeah, they probably wind up fucking Hillary Clinton and a lot of those dudes.
Hey, listen, dude. This is not
That's a
this is not
verb.
Conspiracy Social Club. This
Might
is
as
the
well
Joe
be.
Rogan experience.
I am not willing to relinquish the idea that they could keep that secret.
Well, that's 'cause it's
I think
fun to
it's-
believe in.
Yeah, but it's not just fun to believe in. It is possible. It's a physically possible thing to do, especially if you have the right people and they're indoctrinated in the right way with top secret clearance. And by the way, it's not like these people don't tell their friends, and it's not like there's a bunch of stories floating around, because there
Right.
are. There's a shitload of stories.
That's what I'm
floating
saying.
around.
But why would you like? I would never keep that a secret. I'd be like, hey,
here's-
you got
but here's
fucking
the thing.
aliens.
Here's the thing. When you have senators and congressmen who find out about this, and they find out that military contractors are the ones who have access to this stuff, because the back engineering program has to involve someone who has the capability of recreating this. So who would that be? That would be the people that make jets. If you got someone who's making you a fucking a stealth bomber, and you have a crashed UFO, those are the people that you want discussing like what kind of things you've recovered from a fucking alien crash, and can this be replicated?
No, here's a problem with your
I mean,
whole
don't
theory.
you know me, motherfucker? Because
Listen,
you don't
man,
know. You might be
this
wrong.
is your wrong. No,
No,
this is
don't say you're wrong,
this is
because
the
you don't
problem.
know that
This
I'm
is the
wrong.
problem with your theory. Ready?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I love that you want to believe in this, and so do I. But here's the problem.
Okay.
There's no law. There's no written law that says I'm not allowed to talk about aliens. And I mean at the top levels of clearance, like the most secret level. There is no world where if I'm a government official and I take a bunch of pictures and I come before Congress and I go, here's my evidence, I'm blowing the whistle, there are real aliens.
You don't think they would go after you for
I'd never go to jail.
violating your top secret clearance?
No, because it's not violating my top secret clearance.
But it would
because,
be.
Nope.
I don't
Because
think you're right.
I'd never go to jail for that. Because I'd be like, you're going to put me in jail for exposing what everybody wants to know? The whole world would be like, holy shit, you guys kept
But
this a
that's
secret?
assuming that you have access to that material to extract
There are enough
it
people who
from
would.
wherever maybe not. Maybe those are the kind of people that wouldn't do that, Brian.
Listen,
You
my
fucking
friend.
communist. I don't like the way you think.
I'm shredding your UFO theories.
No, you're not.
Listen,
You think you are, but you're just using these establishment.
You're allowed to
talking
talk
points.
about
You
UFOs
sound
and you
like
never
your
get in
dad.
trouble.
You sound like your dad.
Come on, man. First you tell
You're
me
a
Andy Schultz
CIA
will beat me up.
stooge. You're a CIA
I'll call my dad
stooge,
right now.
And you're in here spreading propaganda to the faithful listeners.
Listen to
of
me.
this
Listen to me. There are no. Agreed.
That's my bets I'm making with everybody now.
I'll
If
dress
they
up
lose,
like
you
a
gotta
clown.
dress like a clown.
I'll do it. Aliens, and if there are, we'd know about it because it's
If
not
there is, you're
against
going to
the
come
law.
back on dressed like a clown. Agree. What are your thoughts on alien life, on life outside of this planet? Is this something you think about?
Yeah, I think there must be. Even in the solar system, I would not be surprised if we find microbes on Mars or on some of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn where there's liquid water.
Like Europa.
Yeah. And the reason is, if you think about, the reason I think that, and it's a guess, is because if you look at the history of life on Earth, then, so Earth formed and it was just there was no life, it was a ball of rock. And almost as soon as it cooled down, we see evidence of life. So certainly 3.8 billion years ago, possibly even further back than that, we see evidence of life on Earth. So somewhere along the line, geochemistry, active geochemistry became biochemistry on Earth. And we have some idea, that if you get gradients of temperature and acid and alkaline and the conditions that are naturally present on the surface of oceans, then complex carbon chemistry spontaneously happens. So we know that life, almost certainly we know that life began on Earth. I mean, the other option is it came from space or something like that, but it probably didn't, right? It probably began on Earth. So that means that at least here, that happened. And that we know that the conditions that led to the origin of life on Earth were present on Mars 4 billion years ago. And we know that they're present on Europa today. So I don't see that there's anything special. Life is just chemistry. And the idea that geochemistry becomes biochemistry is not fanciful because it happened here. So I think that given the same conditions, it would be surprising to me if the same thing didn't happen, in that life begins. So that's one of to test that is one of the great frontiers of science now. It's one of the great challenges, which is why another reason we're interested in Mars, because we know those conditions were there. We know there were what's called hydrothermal vent systems on the floors of oceans on Mars 3.8 or 4 billion years ago. So it would be good to know if what I've said is right. And the way we find out is to find life or evidence of past life.
Are you aware of the speculation that was going around? How recent was it, that Occupy thing, the octopus eggs? There was a group of scientists that were speculating that it's panspermia, the idea of panspermia, that it's possible that octopi had come from somewhere else. Some frozen eggs had actually come from somewhere else and landed on Earth. And these were like legitimate scientists that were contemplating it, not morons.
I don't think...
Have you seen this?
No, I didn't. But I mean, I think it's unlikely. So panspermia doesn't have to be unlikely.
Right.
I mean, for example, you might have
Sure.
seen the other day we found an Earth rock on the moon.
Yes.
Right. Well, it was back
Yeah.
on Earth now because the Apollo
Right.
astronauts brought it back, didn't they? It's 4 billion years old or something like that.
One of the oldest rocks ever found.
Yeah.
Right.
So we know that material gets transferred between planets. And so it's not inconceivable that microbes could survive that journey. Right? We know that microbes can survive in space, for example. So that isn't mad. It's probably unlikely, but it's not mad. But with the octopus, I hadn't heard that. But the thing is that the octopus is still extremely similar biologically to us. I mean, the differences are negligible.
Yeah.
So it's still got the same energy system with the single ATP and DNA and all that stuff. It's all very, very similar.
It was something about RNA and DNA. Did you find that article?
I'm looking at a different one from
So-
a different website. It's about the same thing. It has to do with the Cambrian explosion. And there were 33 authors on a paper that got published in the Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology that talked about this possibility. There are other people that disagree with it, though.
Right.
I mean, I suppose I haven't seen it. So I think it's unlikely because the octopus is extremely similar to us. So that suggests a common origin to me. That I suppose the counter argument you could advance would be there's only one way to do life. So you could say that actually, given because the laws of physics and chemistry are the same everywhere, so maybe DNA is the only way to do it. So that's the way it gets done.
Which is why they're so similar to us.
Yeah, so
although so alien as well.
Yeah, they're not though. You know, that's the thing about an octopus. That's why I'm surprised about it, because they're not that alien. They're very similar.
Well, they're in their abilities. I mean, their ability to transform their outer texture and their color almost instantaneously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have incredible camouflage abilities that really don't exist in the mammalian world.
Yeah, but on a cellular level, you look at an octopus cell under a microscope, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right.
Between an octopus cell and a human cell.
So the only way that would make sense is if all life comes from basically the same kind of building blocks and just varies depending upon the conditions and where it takes place.
I'm guessing, but yes, that must be the only way you could sustain that, given that they're so similar to us, because they really are, biochemically, is that's the only way it can be done, given the building block, the toolkit, the laws of nature and the elements and so on that we have in our universe.
We have so many different life forms on our planet, but if we found anything that's remotely similar to what we have here on Earth on another planet, it would be such an incredible discovery. Like if we found a frog on the moon, I mean, the world would stop, right?
I'd be very surprised if we found a frog on the moon.
But I mean, if we found anything anywhere that is in any way similar, an insect on Mars.
Well, this is... I mean, as I say, it'd be micro. I think it'd be single-celled things. And remember, I mean, you mentioned the Cambrian explosion. So that is what we do know about Earth is that although life began, let's say, 3.8 billion years ago, it wasn't until around 600 million years ago or so, or maybe at most 700, that you see any complex multicellular organisms at all. So for something like 3 billion years, it was single-celled alone. And that's one of the reasons why I would guess, if I had to guess, I would say that microbes would be common because life began very quickly on Earth. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find it on Mars. But complex life, multicellular life, insects, plants, intelligence, I would guess will be very rare because it took so long on Earth to get there. And it was just slime. About 3 billion years of slime. That was it.
We're so vulnerable. And that's one of the weirder things. So first we should get into what you do, because you have a very interesting theory. Tell everybody what your background is, first of all.
Yeah, all right. That does seem like a good place to start. My background is in anthropology, biological anthropology. My research mostly focuses on evolutionary anatomy, biomedicine. I've done some archaeology, various places around the world in Montana. But the reason I'm here, I assume, because according to my friend Matt, we were butchering a mule deer, I think I shot. And I was like, yeah, I got to go to this conference. And I was like, do you want to know what it's about? He's like, nobody gives a shit about what you do other than UFOs, man. I was like, damn it, he's right. Like, I did actually used to do a lot of what I thought was cool stuff. But no, the main thing is that I've become known for advocating for this idea that UFOs and the aliens are actually our time-traveling future human descendants. I wouldn't even say as opposed to extraterrestrials, because I do think that's a component too. I oftentimes get pigeonholed. People are like, oh, you just think they're all time travelers. I don't. I actually say this all the time, but it doesn't matter. I do think there's a lot going on. But my background and the reason I approach this question this way is because there's a lot of characteristics of these aliens that look so hominin. They look just like us. And specifically what we'd expect to see in our hominin future if the same evolutionary trends continue into the future. So I kind of just tie those things together. And even the saucer-shaped craft seemingly are time machines themselves. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version.
Well, it's a theory that a lot of people have independently sort of come to, right?
Yeah, especially recently.
And the concept of, well, if you just think about ancient man. I was watching this documentary on Neanderthals last night about this one intact Neanderthal skeleton that they found it had sort of been, he had died in a cave, and there's stalagmites. Is stalactites or mites? How do you say it?
Tights are up, mites are down.
So he was essentially mineralized.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff all over the body, and it took a long time for them to break this body.
I think I saw that. Was that on Netflix?
No, I was watching it on YouTube. Maybe originally it was on
okay.
Netflix. But it was just documenting how strange this body was that they had found. But it was immensely strong, like much stronger than us. One of the interesting things was that their visual cortex, the part of the brain that would process imagery, was larger than ours, 10 to 20% larger.
Yeah.
And that so these things probably had better eyesight than us, perhaps even were able to see at night, and that this was a bigger, stronger version of a human being, like much more durable than what we are, modern 2025 Homo sapiens.
Yep.
If you just look, that's it. So that's one of them.
Cool.
Neither human nor Neanderthal.
Oh, really?
This is published.
Is this the same? This might not be the same one. This is maybe a different one. That's a weird one because what's that fucking thing on its head?
That's what it says. It's a stalactite growing out of it or something.
Wow, in a weird form. Weird.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn.
Yeah, like a crest.
They do have a sagittal ridge.
Yes.
Homo erectus had one. There's an offshoot in our hominin lineage called the Paranthropus or robust Australopithecines, and they had a full-on like gorilla-style sagittal ridge. Yeah, because they were vegetarians, so they just chewed all day.
Right, so they had massive muscles to chew.
Yeah, their whole face is huge.
Wow.
Neanderthals kind of, they were just big. It's
Yeah.
just a robusticity thing, but there is evidence from Shanidar Cave in Iraq where they were using their teeth as tools. We think they were like tanning hides. They were holding the hide in their mouth and then like scraping all the nasty bits off.
Oh.
And you can see that in the tooth wear. So yeah, they were pretty badass. They were the first. I don't know. I think this is cool, but a lot of people think I'm a nerd too. They were the first to use the flake. Like for 2.8 million years, we just hit a piece of rock and like, oh, this is a cool tool. But then they figured out that if you hit the rock in just the right way, the piece that falls off makes an even better tool. It took us like 2.5.
Like
yeah,
this.
Exactly.
You make an arrowhead.
And from that point on, like I got to work at a place called Chez Pinot Jonzac in southern France for a summer, and it was a Neanderthal site. And we found these. Actually, it's pretty funny because when we first got there, these tools called MTA hand axes, Mousteri, and it was Schulian tradition hand axes. And there were only 8 found in all of Europe. And they said, if you guys find one of these, we'll buy you all the beer and all the cognac you can drink. So we're in the cognac region of France. And we found one like the 4th or 5th day. We went on to find 7 more over the course of that week. We doubled the number of these things in existence
Wow.
in all of Europe. And they were not lying. They bought us so many damn beers. Like archaeologists like to drink. You know,
I'm
that's,
sure.
we dig and it's boring as hell. You know, it's not Indiana Jones. We're not running around banging hot chicks and flying on planes. We're like, we got a spoon and we're doing this for 8 hours. So, yeah, I actually found the last one on the last day and it was by far the worst one. Like I had to argue that it should even count as one of these. But yeah, no, it was a cool site. So yeah, they were doing well, but we were doing better. We came in and replaced them.
Something happened where we replaced them.
Yeah.
But the point is, as time goes on, humans today are probably the most feeble version of humans that have ever existed.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And we're the most feeble versions of people that have existed within the last century, right? Like if you go back to humans from the 1920s versus humans from the 2020s, people have way less testosterone now, way higher instances of miscarriages, way lower sperm count. You know, there's a lot of factors that are at play right now that are changing what a human is. And if you extrapolate, if you look at the future, you would naturally say, well, we're probably going to be very thin. It seems like there's at least some sort of a push to eliminate gender. Like gender seems like it's on the table as whether or not it's even necessary. There's all sorts of new technological innovations that are leading to the possibility, at least sometime in the future, of an artificial womb. There's genetic engineering with CRISPR and a lot of other different technologies that are being explored that we might be able to engineer human beings and then even create a complete individual human being without a mother, without a father. So if you thought about what that looks like in the future, like one of our problems on this planet is we all have different ideologies, different religions, come from different parts of the world. We look different. And human beings as tribal primates have a tendency to other. We other different tribes. Those are not us. We are us. Those are the enemy. We go out.
You rally around it.
But if everybody's exactly the same and we share one mind, you know, then a lot of our problems go away.
Yeah.
If we no longer have to compete for resources, we no longer have the desire to procreate and to acquire land and to be, you know, to have a territory, we eliminate a lot of our issues. And that's what these things look like. When you look at the archetypal, these iconic sort of shapes that have been on cave walls all the way up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one thing they share is that they have no muscle, they have large heads, they have big eyes.
And they're childlike. They're very paedomorphic, as we say. Yeah, you just tied together like a lot of really important points related to this theory. Aspects of why they're always interested in our gametes, why they come back and put that little machine on a man to collect semen, why they're constantly taking eggs from females and implanting fetuses, pulling them back out later. Like they're clearly focused on reproduction, gamete extraction, and one of the things that might be fueling that in the future, if these are future humans, let's just assume for a second hypothetically, is that they might be having problems directly resulting from these trends toward self-domestication, these trends toward feminization, these trends toward reduced sperm counts, which is 60% across most populations of the world, in the industrialized world, 50% across the entire world. Problems with reproduction, in vitro fertilization, exogenesis chambers might help solve some of those problems, growing the fetus outside of the body. So yeah, and like you said, you know, what do they look like? They look like kind of a hybrid between males and females to some extent, but there's still an essence of gender. Like if you talk to Whitley Strieber, you know, he's with this being, he says in communion that I had a sense that she was a woman. I don't know why, but I kind of sensed that. So it's almost like the essence of the individual, the soul of the individual still retains that sort of gender identity, even though our bodies are becoming more childlike, more gender indiscriminate. I don't know. But yeah, yet another one of those ways in which we might sort of grow together as a species.
Now, when you say they are extracting sperm, like how many of these stories do you take seriously? There's a lot of these stories.
It's a great question, yeah.
You know, there's unfortunately for any sort of spectacular public thing that's in the zeitgeist, like alien abduction, whether it's Whitley Strieber from Communion or the John Mack books, the guy from Harvard that wrote, what was it, Abduction?
Passport to the Cosmos and Abduction, yeah. Two great books.
Great books, but these are all books about encounters, close encounters of the third kind with some sort of a being from another place. Whatever it is, it's just not a human being, and it seems to be technologically at least superior to us. And it seems to be one thing they all seem to share is they seem to be able to communicate telekinetically or telepathically.
Yeah, and I mean they aren't human, but they are very human too. So, for instance, like that's one of the main reasons I started exploring this. I was actually kind of put into this when I was 8 or 9 years old, sort of activated in a way and put on this path by a weird thing that happened to me when I was a kid.
What happened to you?
Well, so I talk about it in my first 2 books, Identified Flying Objects and the Extraterrestrial Model, where I learned about a close encounter that my dad had. He was a veterinarian in Northeast Ohio where I grew up. And he was out one night on a call with another guy. So there's 2 people. As far as J. Allen Hynek's reliability scale, it has more reliability because there's multiple witnesses. It's also strange on his scale because they crested the hill. There's a bright light. This is an Amish country. There's no lights in Amish country. And all of a sudden, this bright light darts toward them, hovers just above their truck, darts back to where it was, and straight up into space, like at incredible speed. So this happened before I was born, but I overheard him telling the story to some friends one night. He got Whitley Strieber's book Communion, as most people did in the 1980s, and as they should, because it's a great book. And I walked into the living room. The book is sitting on the shelf facing out. And I remember, like it was yesterday, I sort of stopped, and there was like this light, like a white light. And then I saw this image in my mind of like an early hominin, chimpanzee-like creature, a modern human, and then that archetypal gray alien from the cover with this information. What if they're related? What if they are us from the future? And obviously, I mean, that's why I became a biological anthropologist. People are always like,
so you saw this?
Yeah. It was like a flash, like a light. And, it's weird looking back on it because I know a lot more about these experiences. I've talked to people that have had these types of experiences.
What was the setting?
It was our living room. So it was like you come in the front door and just to the left there's this living room, built-in bookshelf, Whitley's books right there. I just turned the corner, saw it, and then like just kind of it just came. Like I didn't know shit about evolutionary biology.
When
I
you
didn't
say
know
you
about
saw
UFOs.
it, like you saw it how?
In my mind. Just this white light.
Just an image.
And that image of the 3 faces. And then the question, could they be us from the future? And a lot of people are like, how'd you get into UFOs? Like you're a biological anthropologist. It's the opposite. I got into biological anthropology to research this question of whether they could be us from the future.
Huh. So this you felt like at that moment it wasn't just like a weird thought or a dream. It felt like a message. Like what did it feel like?
Yeah. It was a tasking. I think Rupert Sheldrake said it that people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. I think that was like hey, go do this thing. And I did. That's why we're here now talking about it. And obviously, you got to be careful about like selection bias and confirmation bias. Like I didn't go into this. I didn't go into grad school. I also didn't tell anybody in grad school I was there because they would have kicked me out. But I went into it with an open mind, but I was there to study these things because of that event when I was 8 years old.
Wow. Yeah, it is a problem, the confirmation bias. It is a problem with wanting it to be real. And I struggle with that because I desperately want it to be real. And so every time I talk to someone, I've talked to a bunch of people that are, air quote, whistleblowers. And some of them, I think, for sure, have been sent in here to distribute disinformation.
Yeah, no doubt.
For sure, because it's a great place to do it.
Yeah.
I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
I'll entertain almost anything.
Which is great. We need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there's people that are going to take advantage of it.
But I think it's also important for me to say I'm not convinced. I don't know how much of this is horseshit, but it's not zero.
Have you not watched Unacknowledged?
What is Unacknowledged?
You got to watch Unacknowledged.
What is that one?
Okay. You got to watch Unacknowledged.
What is it?
You got to watch Unacknowledged.
Is that Stephen Greer movie?
No.
It is. Yeah,
It is?
Yeah. Listen to me, man.
No?
No.
No good, huh?
No. There's a fucking industry, and the industry is in people wanting to get mysteries solved. The great mystery is their life out there, and nobody has any answers. I did this show for Sci-Fi called Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and before that show, I was a hardcore believer in a lot of wonky conspiracies, like Bigfoot and aliens. I just loved them because they seem so interesting.
I don't live in Bigfoot.
You don't live in Bigfoot?
No, I don't believe in it.
Bigfoot's the most plausible.
You think so?
Yes.
Wow, why?
Because there was an animal called a Gigantopithecus that
Yeah, there
lived
was.
alongside human beings as recently as 100,000 years ago. It was a real, absolutely real animal.
Okay.
And they found fossilized bones of these things, and they found teeth from an apothecary shop in China. There was a real animal. It was a gigantic bipedal hominid that was somewhere around 8 to 10 feet tall. So this thing lived at the same time people did. So this is probably the reason why there's this myth of Bigfoot, that at one point in time, this was a real thing.
No, but what about that they're walking around now?
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying.
Most likely not.
That was what I was saying. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a giant.
Yeah, but there's, a lot
So
of people
tell me
that-
about aliens. Tell me about.
Most is a business. Most of
Well,
it
what
is
about
business.
what about the Air Force general that said did that tape, gave it to his wife,
Yeah.
and said, "Don't put this out until I'm dead." Did you not feel as though when he was speaking, any of that was real?
I think
You've seen that, right?
I think too many.
Have
of
you
these-
seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. I've seen a lot of those
There's
people.
one in
a lot of
particular.
there's a lot of former military people that say they've seen crazy things, and it's entirely possible that they really did. It's entirely possible, but it's also possible that they're crazy. It's possible that they love attention. It's possible that they're bored. It's possible that they're schizophrenic. It's possible that they have memories that they've concocted over the years and enhanced, and it's gotten them attention, and it's putting them in documentaries, and it gets them interviews on television programs. But that there's no evidence, and the problem with all these people is they all have this same feeling about them, and they're not. There's very few of them that come across as rational and objective. Most of them come across as there's something wrong. There's wires that aren't connecting. If you talk to them about other things in life, like if you had a chance to talk to them for a long period of time, sit down with them for 3 hours, ask them about ghosts and psychics and all kinds of other shit. They almost all believe in that stuff. They're believers.
Yeah.
They want to believe in nonsense.
I hear you. As soon as that crops up, I'm out of the room.
But it's possible not just possible. It's 100% likely that there's alien life out there. Likely.
100%. I'm glad you said that.
More
You kind of scared
likely-
me for a second.
No, I think it's more
I just
likely
love that
there
movie
is.
because it kind of had a nice thread through.
That movie's horseshit.
Okay.
There's a lot of those movies that are horseshit. And that guy, he knows some of that's horseshit. Like there's a little baby that they had found that's an aborted fetus. They were trying to pass that off as an alien baby for a long time. But they have genome
You don't believe
tests.
there were hybrids?
No.
What
I
do you?
don't
What do
believe
you?
they're hybrids.
Can you tell me about the link
What, like-
between monkeys and us? Seriously,
Well,
between the
well,
two
this-
frontal lobes and the brain of
Sure.
the monkey.
well, we are hominids. I mean, we are primates, and we're just the most advanced primate. The real question is, how did we get to be so much more
That's what
advanced?
That's what I asked you.
Well, it's more likely
That
that we
link.
found fire and our diet changed and hunting, and then the stoned ape theory, which is a very fascinating theory. The stoned ape theory is Terence McKenna's theory that
Yeah, I know, I
human
read that.
beings found psilocybin mushrooms,
yeah.
and that through the use of psilocybin mushrooms, which in low doses increases visual acuity, produces these ecstatic states, that it might have helped us develop language and communication and creativity, and that this in turn was the reason why the human brain doubled in size over a period of 2 million years, which is the greatest mystery in the history of the fossil record. They don't know why they did it, but there's a very clear path
So then
between
you do
lower
believe the humans were
hominids-
here a million years ago?
Humans?
Well,
Some
whatever. Hominids.
some form of
Okay.
primate was certainly here millions of years ago, as was deer. Deer were here millions of years ago.
Okay,
There's a
good,
lot
good.
of animals.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, it's okay. I don't know. The
I
thing
feel
is,
that. I feel like, just because there was an ice age, it was how many 100,000 years was the ice age?
well, there's been a bunch of ice ages, but the most recent one ended somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 years ago.
That was nothing
Nothing. Yeah.
from beginning to end.
Well-
We don't know what caused it.
Well, when the ice age exists, we have to remember that some parts of the world aren't experiencing the ice age, and then humans thrived in Africa during parts of the ice age. I mean, there's a lot of human beings that live all over the world. The real question is, where did they start? Most likely from Africa, but they could have possibly started from some other places too. And we're starting to learn that.
Well, that's
but
what
the people
the
that are learning
Pangea
that,
thing, right?
the people that are learning, no, not really.
Why?
Well, I mean, there's that too, but I mean, mostly just people traveling. But what you really learn from is archaeologists. Those are the people you learn from, and biologists, people that really understand the human genome. They really understand the differences between people that emerge from China versus people that emerge from Western Europe versus people that emerge from or Native Americans. I mean, there's so many different types of human beings that came from different climates and that their bodies evolved from these places. And there's real science to that. You're not going to get that from these goofy fucking documentaries. These goofy fucking documentaries are basically a business. And the business is there's a bunch of people out there that want to know the answers. What is the truth? And so you get, I was aboard the secret UFO. I saw the magnetic controller that makes us travel through the cosmos and bend time and space. It's like a wormhole. And they'll say a bunch of sciencey sounding shit, but there's no evidence. There's nothing. When they talk about, there's nothing.
Will you what's David? Wilcock. You know David? No. Again, another one? Really?
That guy says that he is the reincarnation of Edgar Casey. Do you know that? Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard.
Do you know who Edgar Casey is?
Yeah, of course.
Famous psychic who never really figured out anything.
Understood.
And thought to be a fraud, most widely by scientists and skeptics.
Drinking too much laudanum.
Laudanum? Is that what he did?
Don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know what
Everything
he did.
was written and everybody was stoned.
Well, I think
when you
this
talk about the
also-
psychedelic, psilocybin mushrooms, opiates, laudanum, the last 100 years,
How do you say it?
laudanum.
Laudanum?
Laudanum.
Laudanum?
Everyone
Is
was
that
drinking that shit.
Yeah, right.
But look,
How do you say it? Yeah,
there's
Yeah, that shit was in that.
Japanese. They never left the island. Do a lot of Japanese have the same eyes shapes?
Yes, they do.
Is there a reason?
Well, there's a reason why
They didn't leave the island and come back after mating with anybody else.
So do
They
you
stayed
think
on
they're
that body of
aliens?
land.
Do you think they're from aliens?
No,
Do you
absolutely
think-
not. It's just that they stayed on that plot of land.
Sure. But wouldn't you agree
And
that
American
a lot of
Indians?
people from Asia look fairly similar?
Yeah, I do.
There's variations in the similarities, but
Yeah.
they were similar, right?
But I think it took millions of years. That's my take. Look, I can't prove anything.
No, they do believe it took millions of years.
I always finish stuff by saying, I didn't see it.
Right.
When I go out at night in Maui and walk around, I'm dying to see UFO.
Me too.
So are you. Because
Everybody
the
is.
second I see one,
Right.
that will make clear shit like, the song I wrote called Back When Cain Was Able, way before anyways, about a mothership and shit. Way before I knew anything about UFOs.
Did you ever see anything when you did psychedelics? When you did drugs, whether you did mushrooms
I
or
never saw
acid
anything
or-
that wasn't there.
For
I'm
sure.
not that kind of people.
No.
I'm not the kind of people.
Some people have, though, and the idea is that there are things that are out there in neighboring dimensions that you're really not capable of accessing them. That's where the real aliens live.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, but I just know that all these people that are pushing it, they all have there's fuckery involved in all these people.
No, I
that's
hear
a real
you.
problem.
I hear you.
Because it's fun. It's fun. You want to believe, right? You want to believe that there's a general out there that's seen a spaceship that's under the mountain. Tell me about it, Mr. General. And he goes on a lecture tour, and you got to pay money to see him. And he's in a documentary, and there's a lot of those people out there, man. And
I live with it. I was backstage with Joe Perry. What'd you do? Yes, my whole life.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. The wow of the thrill of the story. But,
people love to tell
there's
stories.
something inside me that says, you know what? They still haven't found that missing link. That between
if you talk to biologists,
and
they
how
say
the apes
that's
stood up
horseshit.
because they're
but they
walking
do.
through
They
the
have. But they
savannas.
have Australopithecus fossils. They have the things that were like us that are different from a long fucking time ago. They have those.
And the size of the brain.
Yeah,
the two frontal lobes.
The brain changed. It doubled over a period of 2 million years. I mean, that did happen. But they know what we used to be. There are simple hominids that were, or rather ancient hominids, that are very similar to human beings, and they slowly became human beings. And there's also, they keep finding all these different versions of human beings. Like there wasn't just Homo sapiens, and of course there was Neanderthals, but there was the one from Russia. What was that called? That was in that book, Hominid. What is that? Dion, I can't remember though. It starts with a D, but it's a one that they've found very recently. Very recently. You find it, Jamie? Yeah. Here it is. Denisovan hominin, an extinct species of subspecies of archaic humans. They're found in the 1970s by the Russian paleontologist Nikolai Oldov. So there's been a bunch of different forms of humans. We're just the most successful form of human. The idea that it's just alien DNA connected with people, it's sexy. It sounds fun, but there's no evidence.
I hear you. But isn't that what we are as humans?
Well, we are mutations. We are an ancient thing that slowly figured its way out. We became better at seeing things. We became better at hunting. We became better at harnessing fire.
Where do you think free will came from?
There's a lot of people that don't even believe it's real. They believe in determinism. They don't even believe that free will is an actual thing. I mean, I've heard Sam Harris argue it pretty successfully, that there is no such thing as free will, that you are an accumulation of your genetics, your life experiences, all the things that have happened to you, the people that you've come in contact with.
That's true. Behavioral.
And that forms
behavioral psychology.
Think about
that's
your
true.
behavior. Think about your behavior.
Yeah.
And how much of your behavior is shaped by millions of adoring fans and people screaming and cheering you on and singing songs that move people and literally change generations, give people goosebumps when they hear them. I mean, all that stuff has shaped who you are. I mean, all that stuff changes who a person is. And who you are now and the way you behave now is in many ways shaped by your life experiences as much as it is by your genetics. And you wouldn't be this person if you hadn't lived that life. And the decisions that you make from this moment on, right now, leave the studio and have a conversation with someone, will be shaped, at least in part, by this conversation. And mine will be by my conversation with you. This is what the idea behind determinism.
Okay, so I would ask, who said this? Who was into this?
There's many people that come up with this concept, but I've heard it. It was really argued to me by Sam Harris the most successfully.
Wow, interesting. I just wonder why then, certain monkeys, certain breeds of monkeys, smart ones, bonobos, I love them because I'm a bonobo, but they'll put a stick in something and pull out shilajit, but
well, that's also
they haven't gone. Well, wait a minute now. Then they haven't gone past that. So.
Well, do you know primatologists actually believe that chimpanzees have entered the Stone Age? This is one thing that's being considered now, that they've started use of tools on a regular basis.
Okay.
They think that they're learning from each other, they think that if they are evolving, right, and if human beings evolved over a period of millions of years, we are actually watching chimpanzees evolve in real time.
Well, I think so too.
A long process that'll take millions of years, but they have entered the Stone Age. So they think that, who knows, with a series of mutations, with natural selection, with a bunch of different things happening, what a chimpanzee is today, most likely it will be a different thing in 2 million years.
Of course it will.
Yeah. And
I totally agree on that.
Right. That these intelligent animals, they're going to experiment with things. Here it is. Macaques often use stone tools.
Sure
Monkeys
they
have
do.
been living in the Stone Age for 50 years. So for 50 years, these animals, just 50, okay?
I'm not sure
animal's
about that. That's when somebody first saw them using the stone.
True. Well, in terms of primatologists
I
observing
getcha.
behavior.
Getcha.
So these archaeologists have uncovered stone tools they believe these animals have used.
Or other humans.
Yeah, or other humans.
Because you
or
can't
other
figure
primates.
stone out.
Right.
Now, when you look, what do you think about when you look up and I don't know the answers. That's why I got my girls.
Well, I definitely don't know the answers either. Again,
but
remember, I just said I just repeat shit smart people have figured out. That's all I'm doing.
What about the stones that are cut up in, not Machu Picchu, but up in wherever?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Those, the laser cuts. And it's like,
well, not laser, but yeah, very precise cuts. Yeah.
Whoever it was.
Most likely advanced civilizations that have been wiped out by cataclysms.
And that's what I'm saying. So my mind goes to, fuck yeah, we were here.
Something
we went
was
underground.
Here.
There's places, I saw movies of it, where you go into the mountain, you go back 3 miles in the mountain.
Right.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, there
caves?
are. Yeah, there's incredible cave
3
systems.
fucking miles back.
But there's
and all
natural cave systems.
Giant rooms like this in there.
There's natural cave systems in Texas that go back miles into the mountains.
So I'm
into
just
the hills,
saying,
I should say.
That's where my head goes with this. Ghosts, come on. That's your own fear.
I don't know, but you know where you're talking about Muscle Shoals?
Yeah.
The feeling in that room? There might be a similar feeling when a violent encounter happens in a house. That might be what a ghost is. What a ghost is might be this thing that you can't capture, you can't put it in a box, you can't weigh it on a scale, but you get a feeling when you're in a place where something horrible happened and you could feel it. It's not impossible to imagine that that's the case. And Rupert Sheldrake was the guy that I told you believed that, and he's a scientist, and some people would argue against it, but that he believes that things have memory, and that it's possible that even this table has memory. All the people that are sat where you sat.
I think it's got a vibe. I'm not sure if it's memory. You know what's got memory? Water. Nobody knows about that yet. Water.
Right.
Because it never goes anywhere. You can never get rid of water.
It's true.
You can boil it, steam it, it goes up, it comes back down. So I think when they find out the memory in water, I also got to tell you.
So what do you remember from that moment on?
When I regained consciousness, it wasn't real quick. It wasn't real woken right up. It was real slow. It was dim. My consciousness was kind of like in and out for a while. I didn't know where I was. The pain and the feeling that I was mortally wounded, something was so wrong inside. I felt like I was dying. And this is what really fueled the panic when I finally laid eyes on these creatures. Of course, all of the mental programming that we get from Hollywood that aliens are invading monsters, didn't help. But I instantly associated this feeling of dying with pain with them. So I was combative immediately.
Where were you?
I was lying on my back on a raised table. There was a light above me. It was not real bright. It was not so bright that I couldn't, see the outline of the fixture. But
what did the fixture look like?
Kind of like that, only much larger. Just a soft glow. And in the movie, there's a little bit of striking on the part of the aliens against me. That didn't happen. I lashed out at them. The one closest to me, I felt really weak. I didn't have enough strength to do much. So when my arm contacted him, he just fell back very unexpectedly easy into the other one. And I rolled off the table in the other direction. And they came around the table, and the three of them were coming towards me. And I just grabbed something from behind me, an object off of the shelf there, and started swinging it at them.
What was the object?
It was just some large, long cylinder or rod, glass, some clear material. I wasn't studying it. I was looking at them and swinging wildly, screaming threats. They stopped. And I was planning on attacking more fully, just making way past them. The only doorway I could see was on the other side of them.
And it looked like a doorway?
Yeah, it looked like a doorway, just,
And what did they look like?
I guess it's a pretty typical description nowadays. Very large eyes, hairless, two eyes, nose, mouth. I didn't see them speak or no change in the expressions. And to me, that in the face of all the screaming and the fear that I was projecting, their lack of reaction probably just added to my panic. But
did they feel like they were a living creature, or did they feel like they were a robot?
Well, they were without expression, I'll say that. But, I've had 45 years to think about that. In more recent years, I think, well, maybe if they're telepathic and it's developed enough to where they don't need to talk, they also don't need facial expression.
Right.
And so their ability to communicate with each other would be much richer and more complete than we have. And speech and frowns or smiles or whatever would become obsolete pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, that is a theory about where human beings are headed. If we continue to evolve, that we will one day reach this point where the biological limitations of our monkey bodies will slowly start to fade away, and we'll have different abilities to
well,
communicate.
why would we need to frown or smile if you can say much more?
And also, their musculature, did they look like smooth, like they had no clear muscles?
Yeah, they were pretty smooth, very light. When I hit the one, it fell back into the other one pretty easily, like he weighed hardly anything.
Like a little kid?
Yeah. That was the most terrifying experience of my life. But when I tell this story and try to relate to people, I'm trying to communicate what I experienced and how utterly, utterly traumatic that was, and how it was so devastating. I was, on the verge of catatonic for weeks after it happened. But I don't want to relate this story in order to inspire fear, because I've had enough time to think about it that I think that it was unwarranted, that my reaction was just due to my ignorance of the situation. The fact that I was returned at all is pretty significant,
Yeah.
The idea that these beings are just kidnapping people willy-nilly and doing terrible things to them, I don't subscribe to that theory. Now, I try to separate what I actually experienced from things that I've concluded just from thinking about it. But it seems to me that, they've been seen, observed, there have been sightings for all, before I was born.
Had you heard of the Betty and Barney Hill story before you were abducted?
I probably had. But if I thought if they had some sort of sinister intentions, it'd be a done deal. They wouldn't be sneaking around, hiding, and I believe with that level of technology. Look at it this way. Human beings, just virtually everything technological that we have is just a few hundred years old. Before that, the most technological thing we had was fire. And in just the last 50 years, the progress of our science has grown to far overshadow everything we had accomplished in thousands of years before that. So I'm thinking what astronomers tell us about these other star systems is that they could be hundreds of thousands, millions, or maybe billions of years older than us. So if we accomplished the kind of technology that we have in a few decades, what is possible with millions of years of development? We couldn't begin to recognize what they're capable of.
Right.
So I think it's presumptuous for people to say, oh, they could never do that.
It really is an interesting conundrum, because we know what we can do and we know where we came from. We have a very clear history of technology when it comes to humans. And we also know that there are planets surrounding stars all throughout our galaxy and all throughout the universe. But we're still skeptical. It's so funny. And
yeah,
so
it is.
But for a guy like you who's actually encountered it, even though you saw it, it had to not seem real.
Oh, yeah, you're questioning your sanity for sure. I mean, it was like I was practically catatonic for days afterwards.